Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. You might be eating a cup of noodles. That's kind of like everywhere these days. You got the hot water? I got the hot water. All right. So, on BUSKER, Christian Senior has been live on the website for a pretty good amount of time. Has been forever. But I'll tell you this. Considering the fact that Amazon has this, I would call it a security problem. I'll even say it's a good revelation to the domino effect that happens when people play stupid. Okay, playing stupid number one. I went to a church. This church said, "We don't want you to go hungry." I said, "Thank you." The irony is, though, the church was affected by what happened to Jeffrey Bezos' company. Now, one day, maybe even today, you might see Busker on Amazon. Holiday season is still coming up. I don't want anybody to be upset about it. Now, beyond gifts, there is something though I have to tell people about the gift of life. Should I or should I not have a sonogram? Well, I'll tell you this. When I was in the womb of my mother, they did a sonogram, and for the entire time, it was just massive confusion and disappointment, I think, because they got the gender wrong. And then I was like, "Hey, world." And they were like, "Hey, penis and testicles, you weren't what we ordered," or something like that. Then I fell out the window. I guess I got tired of it. So, what's the moral of the story? Okay. If you lose your sonogram and you're like losing your mind about it, I'll say there was once a time those things didn't exist. The mother didn't have to deal with it, and the child didn't have to deal with a random photo shoot. Then I'm thinking, it's kind of a security breach problem. All these sonograms could just go, that's kind of scary. Now, I had a person also give me a little bit of a sense of a scary thought, such as, I am pregnant and I have no money. And then our president was like, "I got a big, beautiful bill that is going to make sure that that silly thing that you have in your mind of a thought that could really disrupt the making of God's child. You have this romantic night, 2 weeks go by, let's say you stop getting a paycheck. That could essentially do it." Now, I recently got a empathic message from somebody who's like, "Well, I am grateful that my child isn't going to have to go through what we went through for generations because apparently this thing could be millions, if not billions of dollars by the time my child is able to really say, I'm going to invest in a house." Well, here's the thing. I got all these people rocking around Colorado with these no king protest stuff. And back in the day, yeah, there might have been in Britain this like king, or maybe even way back in the day. And then the king would say to the peasant people, "You made a baby? That's my baby. This is my land. You don't have to worry about taxes." That's how it maybe was. And then, as a father who got the news of this when my child was born, and then it was like weeks, months later, guess what? All these babies are not going to have to worry. Meanwhile, I'm having to take out a fire in the womb saying, "Do not feel discriminated against." Talked about this in my audiobook series. You might have found it on Spatial Waves. You might have found it on Blue Chronicles. You might have found it on Dodo Soul Chronicles. But at that time when the news broke out, I was already getting a tick of information, not a tick laying eggs in my hair. Nowadays, fathers are now starting to tell me about their insecurity. And I say to them, well, I know what that feels like. Elon Musk was kind of making me feel like a little bit like if my person who I want to make a child with didn't see a bunch of zeros and commas, I was not going to be able to procreate or something like that. And I started seeing this herd mentality of the feminine following a direction where it only follows where the money goes. And for a while, the tribal in me said we didn't have to really worry about that. In modern day world, if the womb and the mother are saying, well, this is kind of like a sense of relief, but the father is feeling like they got their knees cut from under them and they are not feeling that masculine anymore, and they feel like somebody is just buying their baby. I personally kind of wish that our president could say, we're going to really, really, really make sure that fathers in our country have exceptional rights, especially if they say, I'm not using a phone anymore because I want to create exceptional, God gifted children. And the reason why I'm exceptional, the reason why I'm a God gifted child, is because generations of time, our seed, our eggs weren't being incubated by an outside energy. Now, what can I tell families? What can I tell the wombs? What can I tell the newborns? What I could tell them is simple. Money is just some sort of energy. It can make people sneeze like that. But love is something that is beyond the comprehension of what artificial intelligence could describe, or any person who even has an infinite amount of money. Love is like being able to say, I forgot how much money I had because I was focused on the present being with you. And I kind of want families to say to themselves, you know what? That's true. I'm focusing on all these other things. I'm thinking that this evil villain is gonna like just start one day saying by the time they're 18 a new bill passed and it says I'm your daddy bill. You don't have to worry about that, okay? what you have to just say to yourself is that I'm grateful. I'm grateful that maybe in the future, maybe all the silly stuff surrounding finance and family and faith could really start to say, okay, um, I'm really happy that we all rise and we all celebrate as a family. So, you guys are my family. All you on this portal screen. I want you to know that whether or not you got Benjamins upon Benjamins and Franklin says I'm bringing my kite, or you might just have Abe Lincoln in the form of copper and you're like, I don't even know what to do with all these pennies. Just make a ghost gifting card, screenshot it, and send it to spirit@ombusker.com, Krishna Singham, and listen to my station. One day, you might find marvelous surprise, and you might say to yourself, my cart had thousands of dollars worth of stuff, and now it's at my doorstep. It's possible. So try to think in the nature of like good things are possible. And if you're a father, new father on the way, wondering all these things, looking on your phone, picking up the next scary thing, I'll tell you this, it may seem scary to turn off your phone and then say to the mother of your child who's holding your child in the womb, I will be always in your life, both in the physical and in the spiritual. But the one thing I want to make sure that isn't in your life all the time is a cell phone and my eyes on that. I want to watch my eyes on this heavenly planet as we grow together. So to all the fathers who kind of get themselves, I can't afford food, I can't afford baby clothes, I can't afford, I can't afford, I can't afford. I'm going to tell you, you can't afford thinking like that. That simple. What you can't afford is time. Time for you to ride a skateboard or something. Because if you're holding a phone, it might break. And then all your problems are finally solved. And then you'll say, by the time the baby's out of the womb, you say, guess what? I'm holding you without cell phone hands. It's a different type of energy. Namaste.